Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. So Johnny Fischer gets boshed by Dave Allen in 5 rounds. Let's talk about it. For me, this was the epitome of a fun heavyweight fight. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's an example of how you don't need world-level talent in order to deliver entertainment, especially in the heavyweight division. There is fun to be had at all levels, as long as you have the right ingredients, such as 2 fighters who are relatively evenly matched, both being able to punch, both being defensively flawed, and at least one of them not having the greatest punch resistance. This is why so many of David Price's fights were entertaining, despite the fact that he was never at any great level, although David Price was at a higher level than these two, Johnny Fischer and Dave Allen. And speaking of David Price, one of the things I noticed a few fights back is that Johnny Fischer's posture in the ring, his stance, is very reminiscent of David Price. And I always found that kind of curious because David Price isn't the kind of fighter who you'd want to be modeling your boxing posture on. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Johnny Fischer's got this David Price type stance. The way he holds his left hand in particular, kind of leans back and whatnot. So he comes out in the opening round for this fight, the Dave Allen rematch. And for me, he looked very skittish in the first round. Very nervous. In the first fight, he overdid it with the aggression in the early rounds, tired himself out. But in this fight, it was the exact opposite. He overdid it with the cautiousness in the early rounds. And that allowed Dave Allen to get close earlier than he did in the first fight and start winging that big right hand over. And I was saying as early as the first round during my live commentary, if Johnny Fischer carries on like this, it's only a matter of time before Dave Allen lands one of those big haymakers. Because Johnny is not putting enough mustard on his shots to keep Dave Allen honest. The strategy is correct in terms of the movement and in terms of not throwing too many, but when he does throw, they need to be authoritative. And they just weren't from Johnny Fischer. There was nothing on his jab. Man was throwing a vegan jab. You need to put some meat on it. So as I say, very skittish, nervous looking. Dave Allen was able to get close and was just a whisker away with the big right hand a couple times in the first round. Ominous signs. In the second and third rounds, Johnny Fischer started to settle down a little bit. His punches became more fluid, started to put a bit more power on the shots. And I thought he was starting to frustrate Dave Allen a little bit, especially by the fourth. But Johnny Fischer was actually starting to get a bit anxious again himself. He didn't seem to trust his gas tank. And surprisingly, despite what seemed like a lower punch output than the first fight for Johnny Fischer, he gassed even worse this time. And I want to say that may have been down to not just the pressure from Dave Allen, but also the anxiety for Johnny Fischer. He appeared to be anxious in there, and that can drain you. Memory of what happened first time, combined with the pressure of the event, all these fans and all this expectation on your shoulders. Johnny Fischer was actually worse in the rematch than he was first time around, and Dave Allen was better. And you could look at that 2 ways. You could say, well, Fischer allowed Dave Allen to be better because he was overly cautious, or was it that Dave Allen forced Johnny Fischer to be more cautious because he was better? He was applying pressure more effectively. I mean, take your pick. Maybe it was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Whatever the case may be, by the 4th round, Johnny Fischer's legs were noticeably slowing down. He started getting pinned on the ropes and in the corners. Again, ominous. I say he was getting anxious because he started committing a lot of fouls, a lot of low blows, and there were fouls on both sides, right? But Johnny Fischer in particular started throwing a lot of low blows. And to me, that's a sign of desperation. And he kept extending out his left arm to try and keep some distance between himself and Dave Allen, but he was leaning back when he was doing that. And he was often doing it when his back was to the ropes. I mean, talk about a defensive no-no. If your back's up against the ropes or even close, and you're not going to be able to spin out and move off, get your damn hands up, because you know the big right hand's coming over the top. Dave Allen was throwing that shot from the first round, and that's his favorite shot anyway. But Johnny Fischer showing the inexperience, the anxiety, he just reverted back to what he's been doing for several years. These very novice-y moves. And that was like, excuse the pun, a red rag to a bull, or in this case, a rhino. Dave Allen said, thanks very much, I'll have a bit of that. Went charging in, landed the big right hand, actually landed it in the 4th round, and buckled Johnny Fischer's, I think it was left leg, but Dave didn't seem to realize it at the time. I noticed it doing my live commentary. The same shot connected in the 5th. Johnny Fischer tried to firm it, tried to style it out and act like he weren't hurt, but he was. He did a little Irish jig and then tried to trot away, but nobody was fooled, not even Dave Allen this time. So the Rhino went charging in, landed an uppercut and then a clubbing right hand. Johnny Fischer was in all sorts of bother. A couple more shots and he tumbled to the canvas. When he got up, There was only a few seconds left in the 5th round. And although Fischer was hurt, he didn't look out of it yet. He responded to all the referee's instructions. He wasn't like wobbling around on his feet. So I'm thinking, surely you can make it to the bell. If you have to run away, run away. Do you know what I mean? If you have to hold on for dear life, hold on for dear life. But no, Dave Allen unleashed what has got to be the best finishing combination of his entire career. There was somebody in the chat who said it was reminiscent of Mike Tyson. Obviously, they were being somewhat facetious, but Mike Tyson used to throw those type of punch sequences, particularly the left hook to the body followed by the left hook to the head, because that's what this combination from Dave Allen culminated in. Left hook to the body, left hook to the head, which landed beautifully, and down went poor Johnny Fischer. Down goes Fischer. Down goes Fischer. I channeled Howard Cosell during the live commentary. Down goes Johnny. I think that's what I said. Down goes Johnny. He went down face first. He was nearly out cold. He had to administer oxygen. Thankfully, he made a full recovery physically. But can he recover mentally, and can he recover his career? Because I've been saying for the past couple years that Johnny Fischer is a gimmick fighter and an accident waiting to happen. But to be fair, I didn't think the accident would happen against Dave Allen. I thought given Dave Allen's terrible form in recent years, getting totally dismantled by Fraser Clark, that Johnny Fischer should have enough to just about get past him. And I felt that even after the first fight. That Johnny Fischer being the younger guy, Dave Allen being notoriously undisciplined, should be able to run around the ring, poke a few jabs out, make sure he's in great cardiovascular shape, tie Dave Allen up whenever he gets close, and nick a decision over 10 rounds. That's what I thought he was going to do in the rematch. But he wasn't even good enough to do that. So as much as I've never rated Johnny Fischer, and again, I've always referred to him as a gimmick fighter, nothing against him personally, but that's just the way I've always seen him, a little Essex ticket seller. He ended up being even worse than I thought he was. And I always thought he was pretty bad. You know, one of the things that Johnny Fischer really needed to do in this rematch, which I think he tried to do but he didn't implement well enough, was tactical clinching. I spoke about this before the fight. When you are the matador, even though Johnny Fischer's called the bull, in this fight he was the matador. When you're playing that role and you got this rhino charging at you, tactical clinching is important for two reasons. One, it shuts down your opponent's offense, which frustrates them and keeps you safe. And two, it means that you don't have to throw as many punches. It's a way of running down the clock. You wrap the guy up, you walk him back to the center of the ring, or even to the ropes. It's something you need to be drilling in the gym going into a fight like this. Obviously, you need to be careful because excessive clinching is illegal. But still, you want to have that as a core part of your strategy. Just look at Evander Holyfield when he fought Mike Tyson. Perfect example. Obviously, these are fighters on a much, much higher level than Johnny Fischer and Dave Allen. But that's the idea. And these are things that most veterans are capable of doing. Johnny Fischer, obviously a complete novice. And even if he has worked on those tactics with his trainer, Mark Tibbs, he obviously wasn't good enough at picking up those skills in the amount of time that they had to prepare. Fighters learn at different rates. One fighter doesn't learn as quickly as the other. And as for Dave Allen's performance, I thought he was more accurate this time. I thought his jab was better. He looked more purposeful. I think that first fight did give him a psychological boost. I thought his combination punching was the best I've ever seen it, to be honest. Dave Allen normally throws one punch at a time, occasionally two shots. But in this fight, certainly at the end, he put together, what was it, a 4-5 punch combination? That's very rare from Dave Allen. Although, to be fair, by the time he unleashed that combination, Johnny Fischer was literally a statue. Standing right there, up straight against the ropes. Dave couldn't really miss him. It was like hitting a heavy bag. Nevertheless, as I say, Dave Allen showed improved combination punching. He was poised in there for the most part. I thought he got a little bit frustrated around the third or fourth, but he managed to push through that. And by the way, Dave Allen's weight, as I expected, was something which he defended before the fight, but after the fight admitted was a mistake to come in that heavy. In this interview with the Ring magazine, immediately after the fight, he said, "I was too heavy. I felt sluggish in there." And this is just standard practice from Dave Allen. He's always going to tell you that everything's going perfect before the fight, but after the fight, win or lose, he's going to say, actually, I had all these problems in camp and I made this mistake and that mistake and I was overeating and I came in too heavy and I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. Same again here. Watch the interview for yourselves. He said he came in too heavy, he ate too much, and he felt sluggish in there. in the early going. Nevertheless, he won the fight in devastating fashion, great knockout. He moves on. There was a couple of people in the live chat who suggested Dillian Whyte as a potential opponent for Dave Allen next. Obviously, they fought back in the days and Dillian Whyte won comfortably. But Dillian has deteriorated a lot since then, and perhaps Dave Allen has improved, surprisingly, because he's retired a couple times, right? So maybe Dave Allen catches Dillian Whyte at the right time. I personally would still make Dillian Whyte the favorite because other than punch resistance, he's better than Dave Allen in pretty much every other department. He's a more skilled fighter, Dillian Whyte. But I definitely give Dave Allen a shot because he can punch and Dillian just doesn't have a chin anymore. I mean, the question really is, would Dillian Whyte even be interested in that fight? I'm not sure. A more realistic route for Dave Allen might be the winner of the Adelaide TKV rematch. Or if the winner don't want to fight him, maybe Allen gets to fight somebody else for the vacant belt. British heavyweight title, that is. After the high-profile nature of that win for Dave Allen, when I say high-profile, I'm talking about on the domestic UK scene, it was high-profile. Due to the high-profile nature of that win, I wouldn't at all be surprised if the British Boxing Board of Control decide to make Dave Allen mandatory for the British heavyweight title. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And would I pick him versus Adelaide or TKV? Personally, no. I especially wouldn't pick him over TKV. If TKV turns up and boxes the way he did against Adelaide, I think he'd be too slick for Dave Allen. And maybe Dave Allen can catch him the way Adelaide caught him. I definitely give Dave Allen the puncher's chance, but I reckon TKV outboxes him. I reckon Allen would have a better chance against Adelaide because Adelaide is not as good technically. But then again, he's a much harder puncher than TKV. So he might have enough mustard on his shots to keep Dave Allen honest. But yeah, that's a more realistic route for the White Rhino, in my head at least, than looking for a Dillian Whyte rematch. And for Johnny Fischer, misfits. I'm being deadly serious. Johnny was only ever a gimmick fighter anyway. I've been saying this for years. And so I think you should take a leaf out of Tommy Fury's book. Tommy Fury has shown how much money you can make as a gimmick fighter when you participate in misfits bouts. I think Johnny Fischer, and I'm absolutely serious, should go after Jake Paul. Jake Paul's fought a heavyweight before. I think Johnny Fischer should go down the misfits route, bring his dad on board to do all the shouting and screaming, bring some Chinese food to the press conferences. Just go all in, because Misfits is a freak show. I think Johnny Fischer should go down that route because that's where he can still make money, big money, potentially, in fights that he can actually win. Because in proper boxing, in real boxing, he's got found out by Dave Allen, cleaned out, boshed. Some people are saying they shouldn't have taken the rematch. And I hear that, but if you think about it, where else was he going to go? He found his level. He found his ceiling in the first fight. And I think Eddie Hearn knew that. You can't keep feeding him absolute cream puffs because even his own fans are going to get sick of that sooner or later. Paying their money to watch him, buying their tickets for him to blow these obscure journeymen out in a couple of rounds. That approach has got a limited shelf life. Eddie Hearn knew it. So his thinking was, now we need to put him back in with Dave Allen because all the money we're invested in this guy is not going to pay off for us if we keep feeding him, again, obscure journeymen. He's going to have to be in meaningful domestic fights. And it starts here with Dave Allen winning the rematch. So from a promoter's perspective, I can see why Eddie Hearn advised this. Maybe you see it as ruthless. Perhaps it is, but I can see why he advised it. And Johnny Fischer obviously agreed to it, But moving forward, unless Johnny Fischer wants to fight for absolute pennies on undercards against these obscure journeymen for many, many years to come. And I was saying this before this fight, that Johnny Fischer is years and years and years away from developing enough craft to be able to take on anyone with the slightest pulse. So unless Johnny Fischer wants to do that, fight journeyman for pennies for 2, 3, 4 years, and even after he's got a certain amount of experience, in my estimation, he's not going anywhere anyway, while he's still young, and they can revive this whole Bosch thing, use that to have some misfits fights. At least make some money, You're never going to be world champion. As Clint Eastwood said in Magnum Force, a man has got to know his limitations. So that's my take on the whole thing. Give me your take in the comment section below. Again, thoroughly enjoyable, entertaining, I want to say area level British heavyweight fight. Thrills and spills, devastating knockout, and I'm being absolutely sincere when I say this. Big up to both fighters. Big up to Johnny Fischer for not being very good and probably knowing he's not very good, but giving it a go anyway in such a dangerous sport, particularly in the perilous heavyweight division where when it goes wrong for you at heavyweight, it tends to be far more devastating and far more humiliating and embarrassing than it is when it goes wrong for you in the lighter weight classes. So it takes a big set of cojones to do what Johnny Fisher's done. And ditto for Dave Allen. He's been in over his head many times in his career. So big up both guys for giving us entertainment. They put on a show. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. I'll leave it there. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And before I go, make sure you check out my latest topical content on Patreon. The new movie, Sinners Decoded. This is not just a regular vampire flick. There's a lot of subtext and symbolism in this film, which I reveal the meaning of. If you want a free 10-minute sample of my decoding, just click the link in the description box below. You won't have to sign up for anything. You can just click the link and start listening immediately. If you like what you hear, consider signing up to access the full episode and my entire back catalog of topical content going back several years. Hundreds and hundreds at this point of podcasts, videos, movie decodings, discussions about current affairs, history. I've done documentaries on there. Almost any subject that you could possibly imagine, chances are I've already covered it on my Patreon page. So yeah, check out the free 10-minute sample. It's getting great feedback. People are absolutely loving it. Just check out the comments. Just have a listen. If you like what you hear, sign up. There's no contract, no commitment. All the links are in the description, and all the details of what to do are in this trailer. Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform, who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content, where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop, and download all my podcasts in high-quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android, because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.